Hello and welcome back to my channel. So it's been a long time. Thank you for waiting. It's uh great to be here again. So the Magos, I finished that. That's a great book. There's more than the pages that I showed when I took a photo of the contents page. There's two sides to that. So there's a lot of stories in there. It's well worth reading, and it just helps to partly flesh out Eisenhorn and bring in a few other new characters. You've noticed, no doubt, through my page that I've done my AdMech, so they're still at 11 models strong, but they are now all assembled and painted. I've got some lore for them. I'm changing that lore from the Chanda 4 system, the Chanda system, to being based on an Arc Mechanicus. So that should be interesting. That's because I read one of the old Priests of Mars was the one I read, and that inspired me to add this Emperor's Champion into the mix. So I need to finish off things like the shoulder pad, stuff like that, get him all painted up. And yeah, he's going to be added to my force soon. I might, but that means in this Marine Codex, and I don't want to be giving Games Workshop any more money than I have already this year. Any money I gave them, to be fair, was a pot of paint. So it's not been like I've gone and spent loads with them, but it's the way they treat customers online anyway. The stores are a different matter entirely. The store managers are as nice as can be. Customer service, when you ring them up, can be as nice as can be. But the actual company and how they treat people, that is a different kettle of fish entirely, as evidenced by Forge World. Yes, this gigantic corporation thinks that charging 3,000 Australian dollars for one Warlord Titan fully equipped with a weapon arm, with two weapon arms, two shoulder mounted guns, head, you name it, it's all there. All these boxes have been bought, and they're charging 3,000 Australian dollars for it. As Maka at the Outer Circle has said, and as I've shared on my page, that means that from the actual current exchange rate for Australia compared to Britain, he could get the entire Primaris range plus Rebute Guilliman extra, as well as a Warlord Titan, for the same amount of money. He could even fly over here and buy that Titan and fly back home again for the same amount of money. That is ridiculous. But to add to that, I think the standard Marine, yes, the quotation marks are back. The standard Marine is now going to be a thing of nostalgia, and that's it. There will be no more new Marines. I've not seen any new Marine kits. They've brought out the Primaris range, great, but they aren't standard Marines. They are Primaris. They are different. It's the Primaris are great and good, but there's plenty of people whose armies now don't look as I mean, if I was to mix in a squad of my intercessors into, say, my Dark Angels army, fluff-wise, they shouldn't mix. The Primaris should not be accepted by the Dark Angels or the Space Wolves. Yet instead, because Roberta Gilliman's turned up with them in the right coloured power armour and said, oh, by the way, a tech priest named Cole, who was around during the heresy, has actually created these for me while I was in stasis on Macragge. It's a Mary Sue of all Mary Sues. I thought Gilliman coming back was bad. This is worse. This is just a blatantly worse Mary Sue because he's a bigger, better Space Marine. The new Sisters release, okay, coming some point next year. We don't know when. So, Sisters, nuns with guns. The famous bob cut. They've stuck with that. So they got the same hairstyle. Yet, are those really female faces? Or are they just softened male faces? It's a hard one to decide on those faces, but as with all projected CAD drawings, they look a bit flat, a bit 2D. And that brings me on to the current cartoonish look of I'm going to say the majority of all Games Workshop models recently. Yeah, the Games Workshop, please fire your current sculptors and get Jess Godwin back. Please. For the fans, if no one else. For the customers, if no one else. Jess did the original Space Marine. Nobody said to him, when he first sculpted the first Space Marine model, hey Jess, you know that one you've got 3 times larger that you've made as a mock-up? We should sell that instead. Because if they had, he might have said, okay, yeah, that's fine, I can do that. And that would have been better than what we've got currently. And then you can use 3 times bigger model. There's a example of going, here's the actual Space Marine. They're actually supposed to be 3 times larger than a human. So, okay, then I'm going to be a foot or 2 taller, but at least then you get the actual, sense of scale and go, oh, the average Guardsman's now around the 3 foot mark or what have you. I don't know what you want to do with it, but that, you get my point. My point is that if I had just Godwin sculpting them, they would actually look decent. It's not just somebody borrowing from somebody else's idea. It would be a new thing and it would look great. But no, they turn to computer aided design. Oh, CAD. Games Workshop. CAD is not your saviour. CAD can never be a saviour. Heresy Lab, the company that I've recently started to back on Kickstarter, they have some renders they put up, but they spin them around so you can at least see 360 of the model in render form. They don't just take a picture of the render and say, this is what the model will look like. Or take 4 photos of the model, four basically screen grabs of the model and do it that way. No, with them, with Heresy Lab, they actually take every model that they make and they put it, they will show pictures of it painted and they will show videos of the model just rotating around in from CAD. And Games Workshop, Forge World, they don't do it. They go, here's what your model will look like with a finished model. Great. I go through, I can find a spinning picture. Great. But you don't see the design. There's no interaction with Forge World or Games Workshop anymore. Before, people would charge different prices because it was solely on currency, and they didn't necessarily like it, but to give them their dues, they went, okay, you make some great models. I like the look of them. I want them, so I'll get them, but I don't agree with what you're doing. But to have the price difference where you can buy a set of every other Primaris range that's currently made, plus the Brute Guilliman Primarch of the Ultramarines at a increased price because he's in a separate box. Don't forget, it's not the Triumvirate anymore. He's in these separate boxes, in his own little box now. Because you can get all that from Games Workshop themselves, even on the Australian pricing system. Warlord Titan, plus all that, would be better for GW than charging for one Forge World Titan. Oh wow, they are, yeah. I've not bought any models from Games Workshop in the last year at all. Nope, all my models I've bought have been either RTLW, Heresy Lab, or eBay purchases. This Emperor's Champion, eBay purchase from a seller, not in a box, no, but new, unpainted, two-handed, proper two-handed sword. You know, it's a nice model. It deserves a bit of love and painting, but I wouldn't go and buy the new one from Games Workshop, that Failcast version. Why? Because Finecast isn't the answer. Yes, it makes it better and more survivable for your models, but at the end of the day, the only reason this isn't more painted is because I've not got the confidence to edge highlight the guy. Because there's so many edges I want to highlight, and I haven't got the patience or the skills to actually complete it yet. But at the same time, it's not something from loving the model. The model looks absolutely amazing. It's just my skills that are letting me down from painting him. That's all it is. And yeah, I just don't get Games Workshop or Forge World. I'm not. I predict. Okay, we'll see these two things. One of them's going to be pretty much a guaranteed. I think at this rate, we'll have 5-man boxes of sisters, 5 models in each box, be it HQ, the Celestians, or be it Battle Sisters. Even the Dominion Sisters and the the Dominions, the Seraphim, you know, all those, the usual, I say meat of the army. You have some of the more elites, like the Celestians and the Dominions. You get your Retributors, the heavy weapons, sisters. Yeah, you have all those, but at the same time, they don't need, but I'll predict it, they will get a Primaris style. No, they will get their own style of the bolt rifle. And you see it now. sister with a longer bolter in every squad of battle sisters of 10 or more. Or with the heavy weapons girls as to increase squad numbers. That's what I can see happening soon. I really can. The way things are happening with the law and stuff like that now, I do not recognise 40k. I've not played the game in a while, but even so, I still do not recognise 40k as it has been. It's just ridiculous what's happening at the moment with 40k. I mean, yeah, the Death Guard needed an update. Fine, I get that. But did you have to make all the other models obsolete? Did the Space Marines need the entire range of current models to be made obsolete to make them a playable faction? No. Space Marines were great as a faction before 8th edition dropped. They were a forgiving army. You could make a couple of mistakes and not get too badly punished for it. They were, in effect, the best beginner's army you could possibly get, which is why they were in the vast majority of starter sets up until 8th. And you're going, but Dom, they're still in the Space Marine starter set. Yes, they were. But they weren't standard Space Marines. They were the new Primaris, only Primaris as well. The captain in Gravis armour was still Primaris sized. He was still the size of the Primaris Marines. That captain should have been smaller. Gravis armour or no. Even it'd been a Terminator captain in with Primaris. That should have been different. But no, they put a power armoured captain in. If you look at the Gravis captain stats, he is basically a power armoured captain. And now, no model in that collection. I mean, if I put them with my Dark Angels, they should not be accepted. Why? Because the Dark Angels and their secrets wouldn't permit them to join the inner circle as of creation, because they don't know all the secrets. The only person who knows the vast majority of the secrets of the Dark Angels is Azrael. He is the only person who knows the vast majority of the secrets of the Dark Angels. Yes, lions asleep in the rock, but I don't see anything to bring Lion back into 40k. Because you've got Gulliman, and Gulliman can beat Mortarion, Madness. There'll be no more. If Games Workshop do bring back more Primarchs, it'll be a Loyalist next, I reckon. But at the moment, they don't need to, because Gulliman does it all for them. Gulliman is both a statesman and a warrior, and he is not afraid to go and beat up a couple of his brothers for the sake of it. Let's be honest here, he is a 110% perfect Primarch, and I don't need to bring back anybody else because Gilliman does it all. Yep, Gilliman is the answer for the Imperium for everything. You think I'm overstating this? Well, just have a look at what he's done. He's launched a crusade to reunite the galaxy when that great rift opened. So he's done that. What else has he done? Oh yeah, he had Cole work on the Primaris. So everyone who got reduced to a tenth of starting numbers because Chaos or Nids or Eldar trickery, the usual suspects. Oh yeah, we'll give you a boost in Primaris numbers. Here you go, here's some Primaris Marines for you. Sorted. The way the chapters have been accepting them is not on in my eyes. The Blood Angels, the Space Wolves, the Iron Hands, Raven Guard, even the Dark Angels should have all turned round and gone, nope. The Salamanders don't need Primaris because they've been written into the lore as being, well, they were one of the smallest legions in the Crusade, and nothing's changed because they're still a really small. They have 10 chapters, 10 companies, but they have such a slow recruitment drive that they don't need any more, like, numbers reasonable or anything like that. So to suddenly turn around and go, Space Wolves, here's some more wolves for you. Why do we need these? Oh, when Magnus went and burnt down Fenris, sorry. Yeah, all that happened. And then they retcon it out of existence by saying, oh, by the way, yeah. You know how Magnus went and, killed the remaining inhabitants of Fenris? Yeah. Oh, you're back at full strength now. What? How? Oh, it was just a simple matter of a few Primaris Marines that Cole had brought up, and he's sorted out he's reduced the Canis Helix side effects on the gene seed, by the way. Yeah, what? They're not wolves. No, they are wolves. Look, they're in the right colour power armour. Take them, come on. And what really bugs me, from what I've heard anyway, from this new Space Wolves Codex, Ragnar Blackmane, the youngest Wolf Lord ever, is also the most accepting of the Primaris. Let that sink in. The guy who got his position by, surviving through the skin of his teeth and becoming a slightly more diplomatic space wolf, and is now in charge of his own great company, has Primaris and lots of them in his company. Just 1 second, yeah. Ask yourself this one question. If you were to turn round and take more of the newcomers from someone else who don't know your fighting style, haven't fought alongside you, and don't know your battle cant, like the inhabitants of your home planet would, what would that say to the inhabitants of said planet? Eh? We don't need you. So there'll be no more blood claws. Oh, and don't get me started on the long fangs. That is a gigantic mess up with GW. Long Fang can now have, the Primaris Hellblaster squad? That's now a Space Wolf Longfang squad. Yeah, the Primaris Hellblasters are now Longfangs. You'd be telling me next to Reavers of Blood Claws. intercessors to betray hunters. There we go. Space Marine range sorted. All the chapters get all the new gizmos. Why? Because Cole was bored for 10,000 years. That's a basis of all, isn't it? Cole was bored for 10,000 years during the heresy. So, since the heresy, he's created Primaris Marines. Fabius Bile, a Space Marine apothecary in the Emperor's Children Legion, who devote themselves to perfection in everything, be it as apothecaries or as line soldiers, could not improve upon the Emperor's work at all. Corax, he tried to boost up his legion numbers by taking more gene stock from Terra and creating new Marines. And yes, they were slightly taller. They had a bit of the Primarch in them. But, and this is a big but and a big difference between Cole's Primaris and Corax's Raptors, they were designed to fit the Mark 6 Marine warplate. The Marines and the Mark 6 warplate were meant to fit together. So the Mark 6 is still 8 foot tall. So the Marines were still, they might push 8 foot rather than 7'6". That is the only difference in the Marines. The Marine himself would be 7 foot. The suit of armour would give him another foot on top of his regular brothers. That's it. There is nothing in that says they are better than any other Marine around them. They had the newest pattern of bolt gun, sure, but they had bolt guns, not bolt rifles, bolt guns. They had the same they had the same melter charges, they had the same everything else, and yet James Workshop would go around and go, Raven Guard, I've got some more models for you. There we go. Iron Hands, here's some more men for you. It's just a Mary Sue of Mary Sue's. It really is. I mean, the only I think, and I want to be wrong here, but even the Black Templars have these in their forces. And that does make me sad, because the Black Templars are the only chapter to remain at way over 1,000 strong at any one point in time. Yes, they sent the majority of the other force to Cadia, but do you know how many crusades the Black Templars have going on at any one point in time? It's more than one. There's multiple crusades for the Black Templars ongoing throughout any part of the Imperium. That's why nobody knows their current strength. So, just because they turned around and sent as many Templars as possible to Cadia doesn't mean that they're all gone. It just means that they sent, let's say, 3,000 Marines. That's still 3,000 more than they. That's 2,000 more than they need by the credits of Astartes, if they were to ever accept that. That'd be perfectly fine on their own. They are their own separate chapter, for a good reason. But yet, nope, they're not happy with that, so they'll give them Primaris reinforcements. And then in the Death Watch. The Death Watch. You don't get numbers by turning on to Gilliman and going, we need numbers. you'd get numbers by requesting from chapters the best hunter, or whatever you want to call them in each relevant chapter, to come forward for secondment to the Death Watch. Yet, nope, they need to get Primaris. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Grey Knights with Primaris either. Games Workshop have totally ruined 40k by doing this. And you're going to say, that's a bit drastic, Dom. Look, the 40k that I started playing back in end of 4th, start of 5th, yeah, you had 1,000 chapters of Space Marines and 1,000 Space Marines in each chapter. That was it. The Exorcists would, had 12 chapters, had 12 companies because they had such a high death rate in their forces. That's it. The Crimson Fists were a favourite of mine in the previous editions, from 4th through to 7th, because they were hanging on by the tips of their fingers to life. Rindsworld's disaster and the subsequent Orcs invasions, that added to the character of the chapters. And now, by going, the British government's turned up and here's some Primaris Marines for you, you are effectively writing out every bit of lore that made the Space Marines relatable in any sense. Yeah, they have made the Space Marines now as completely inhuman as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if the Salamanders, when they get Primaris, oh wait, they've already got them, but I wouldn't be surprised if a new book for Salamanders came out and they were no longer the people's champions in the 40k universe. Honestly, I wouldn't. If they were still thinking of the public, of the civilians in conflicts, I would be surprised. Honestly, I would. These Primaris have none of the character that they should have, and now, late to the party as usual, Games Workshop are now trying to bring them in as, oh, they're the best of the best of the best. Wasn't that Space Marines anyway? Weren't Space Marines meant to be the best of the best, and the Grey Knights the best demon hunters, and the Death Watch the best of the best of the best? Because, they need something better than Space Marines. And the Death Watch I could get along with because they were an arm of the Inquisition. At least, anyway. They were designed as a order militant. That's why I like the Sisters, because they're an order of their own. They have their own orders, like the Bloody Rose. There is nothing in there that says we need Primaris reinforcement, and yet I dread to say this, but I think this will happen. We will get Sisters with Primaris bolt rifles, or at least reduced sized Primaris bolt rifles. Yep. Shrink it down to 80% size and give it to a Sister. That's all they need to do, because that's all they do for the bolt guns. So these bolt guns, minus 20% size, fire minus 20% smaller shells, yet at the same strength in the tabletop. Joys and joy. Yeah, I can see Primaris getting, the sisters getting Primaris style bolt rifles very soon. As in 2019 when they release the rest of the range. Yeah, this is not the same hobby. As a result of all of this, I am going to focus more on the independent sellers in this hobby than the main seller. So, Heresy Lab, when I get my first wage from my new job, which I start in the next couple of days, you're getting money from me for that level 7 Cyberrun team, and I might even get a level 3 Mastiff as well, just because, I mean, who doesn't want a team of cyber dogs? And it's things like that. Pages like Heresy Lab, I'll put their Kickstarter in the link below. They are a one-man band. RTLW, again, I'll link them down below. They have their own website and their own store, and yet Games Workshop will slap them with a cease and desist order because this one model that they made way back when looked, and people commented on, like, oh, that's great, your Eisenhorn. Games Workshop didn't have that, so they went and gave the order for an Eisenhorn model to be made in plastic by themselves because a Russian company beat them to it. Look, Games Workshop, if you don't like people taking ideas from your books, then simply grow up. At the moment, Games Workshop, under their current management, yeah, I wish it was the old Games Workshop. That was better, at least. I say better. They've never been the best company, but yeah, this current Games Workshop is just making a pixie of everything. And when you add in the Forge World side of it all, yeah, even the Australians are getting mad about it. And at the end of the day, even if Games Workshop lost Australia completely as a customer base, which is entirely possible, they'd be like, oh, we'll just turn the prices, make it a 6 monthly price rise, and scare away more customers. Just Games Workshop, okay, answer this one thing.